Okay, so I know we didn't get a chance to go over this in class, so I thought I'd give you this video to help you out. You can go ahead and follow along, type in the answers, and I hope it helps you at least start to get stuff figured out. Again, feel free to message me if you have any questions or concerns. So, I ask, in what ways are the numbers in group 1 different than the numbers in group 2? If we look here, we have the square root of 100. Do I know what the square root of 100 is? I do, it's 10. The cube root of 329. Have I seen this somewhere? This is where our chart's really going to come in handy. The cube root of 729. I can look at my chart from that slide, and I see that 729 would actually have been this blank, so I know that this is 9 cubed. So this is 9. The cube root of 27 is right here. It's in my perfect cubes list, so it's 3. The cube root of 216 in my cubes list is 6. And the cube root of 36, the square root, that's a 2. The square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of 81 is 9. So in group 1, we notice they're all numbers in these charts. They're all numbers on my chart, which means that they are perfect squares or perfect cubes. And I like to make sure that my text is really noticeable. So now look at this second list of numbers. 740 is not on my list. The square root of 5 is not on my list. 62 is not on my list. The cube root of 25 is not. So these are not perfect squares or perfect cubes. So the first box is perfect squares or cubes. The second box is not perfect squares or cubes. So this one we can easily find the answer to, whereas in this group, we can't easily find the answer. We'll actually have to estimate by doing some work. So we want to place the following rational numbers on the number line below. The square root of 100, well, we know that the square root of 100 is the same thing as 10. So I can take this circle and place it on 10. The cube root of 329 we just figured out is 9. And again, how am I doing this so quickly? I'm using this chart. The cube root of 729, I don't know why I keep saying 300. 729 is 9. So maybe I need to leave this up to help me out. The cube root of 216 is 6. So I'm going to take this cloud shape and move it to 6. The cube root of 27 is 3. So I'm going to take this triangle shape and move it to 3. And then square roots are pretty easy. The square root of 36 is 6 times 6. So notice I'm going to have an overlapping, or maybe I'll just put them above each other. And the square root of 81 is 9. So look how easy that was. I can use my chart to help me figure out where these numbers go. However, how do I figure these numbers out? They're not perfect squares, so I need to figure out where they can go. So we know that 740 is not a perfect square. And in this case, it's not a perfect cube. It's asking us for the cube root. It's not a perfect cube, so I need to estimate its location on the number line. However, if I look at my chart, I can figure out what 740 is between. What cube 740 is between. It's larger than 1, larger than 8, larger than 270, bigger, 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 bigger. We know this is 729, so it's bigger than that, but it's less than 1,000. So it's between 729 and 1,000. Now, because I know it's between those, 729 and 1,000, I can figure out the integers it's between. The cube root of 729 is 9 because 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. Just like the cube root of 1,000 is 10 because 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. Therefore, we know that the cube root of 740 has to go between 9 and 10. And this is where you're going to have to play with the sizes a little bit. So you're going to place it somewhere between 9 and 10 on the number line. Because that's the cubes it's between. It's between the cube root of 729 and the cube root of 1,000, and I can simplify those to be 9 and 10. But I also need to figure out which one it's closer to. 740 is closer to which number? 729 or 1,000? It's closer to 729. And since the cube root of 729, and again, you have to play with the sizes here. Since 729 is equal to 9, we're going to place it closer to 9. So I take my circle. We know it's not exactly 9, but we're going to place it closer to 9. So I'll place it about there. And now I've estimated where it goes. It's between 9 and 10. That's what this information tells us. And then because of these two lines, we know it's closer to 9. So you should take all of this information and make sure that you fill it in. So maybe pause the video and fill in that slide number 5 for yourself. Let's do slide number 6 together. The square root of 94. 94 is not a perfect square. However, I can use my squares and cubes chart to figure out what it's between. 81 and 100. It's bigger than all these numbers, but smaller than 100. So it's between 81 and 100. And remember, you will have to play with the size here because of how the numbers work. Now, with this information, I'm going to figure out what integers my root is between. The square root of 81 is 9 because 9 times 9 is 81. The square root of 100 is 10 because 10 times 10 is 100. So this one is also between 9 and 10. So we're going to place it on the number line between 9 and 10. But again, which one is it closer to? 94 is closer to which number? Well, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. So we already have 10, 11, 81, 91, 92, 93, 94. So there's 13 digits between 81 and 94, and only 6 between 94 and 100. So since 6 is smaller, it's closer to 100. The distance is smaller. And the square root of 100 is 10. So we're going to place this closer to 10. And again, it's not exactly 10, but I am going to place it closer to 10. Then I always like to make sure that all of my text is a different color so that I can clearly see it. And you've done slide number 6. The rest of the slides follow the same situation. We have square root of 5, the cube root of 62, the cube root of 25, and the square root of 52. And again, use your squares and cubes chart. Then you have some mixed review, placing these on the number line. Notice you do have some imperfect squares that you're going to have to, and non-perfect cubes that you're going to have to deal with. Some more mixed practice, and then you are done. So hopefully this helps a little bit. Again, feel free to email me if you need help. But those are my examples for you, and I will see you next class.